In this video, I'm gonna give you a few tips that's going to help you buy your first business in 2026. We all know it's the best way to get wealthy right now, and we're probably in one of the greatest moments in history to go buy old, boring businesses. So the first step when looking to buy your first business is to select an industry. However, there's three main key components. So the first point when looking for an industry, you're looking for an industry that you understand at minimum. So you don't have to have 20 years of experience in the industry. What you need to have, it's the understanding of getting the clients, serving the clients, getting paid, and paying your expenses. Once you understand that, it's okay. But don't go into an industry where you don't understand nothing of it. You just know that it's a hot industry like cybersecurity. The reason why I'm saying you need to understand a little bit of the business is because when doing M&A, when buying businesses, you're not buying yourself a second job. You're buying yourself a steady cash flow. That's what you're looking for. If you buy a business and start working in the business for 1, 2, 3 years, you get stuck and you just bought yourself a second job. That's not what you want. What you want is to be able to understand the industry enough to when you become owner, the first month you're entering multiple prospects that could replace the former owner. You are not the one qualified. You're not a CEO, you're not a business manager, you're someone that focuses himself on buying businesses. The second point when looking for the right industry, look for an industry that has a high profit margin. So let's say I'm selling computers, $1,000 per computer, and the computer cost me $500. All right, so the computer cost me $500, and I have also $200 of expenses for my employees, my rent, my electricity. After selling a computer for $1,000, the profit in my pocket is $300. That means 30% profit margin. You don't want to go in an industry that is less than 25% profit margin. The reason why is because when you buy a business, you want to be able to make mistakes without going under. So let's say you select an industry that has 5 to 10% profit margin. Then you become owner, you try to change something and it goes bad. And it happens, and you lose 10% profit margin. You are in minus 5% profit margin, or let's say 0% profit margin. You don't make money anymore. You're not able to make your payments anymore. So that's why a higher profit margin business is extremely important. You're gonna make some mistake. You're not the expert. So go into a higher profit margin industry. The third point is an industry that is fragmented. What does that mean, a fragmented industry? That means you don't want to go, let's say in telecommunication, where you have 5 big telecommunication company that owns 95% of the market. You want to go in an industry like HVAC or plumbing, when you have multiple businesses locally that you can go at, call them, and try to see if they want to sell their business. Another thing, when looking to acquire a business, don't look for businesses that are further than a 3-hour drive radius from your home or a 3-hour flight from your home. Stay close to where you are, because I like when I start negotiation with sellers, meet them face to face and shake their hands. It's extremely important. Now, once you find the industry, that's good. The second point now, it's how to find the damn business. There's 2 main ways of finding deals. You have on-market deals and off-market deals. Let's focus on market deals right now. On-market deals are a company that is represented by a professional seller, a business broker. It's the same as a real estate agent, but for businesses. It's really hard to negotiate with them. So don't go there first. However, if you really want to go with brokers first, there's one thing you need to do. Throughout the negotiation, let's say you get introduced to the seller. You want to always talk to the seller directly. So let's say you're in a room, there's a broker right there, and there's the seller at your left. You look in the seller's eyes, and when you talk to the guy, you talk directly to the seller. Don't get the approval of the business broker. And you want to make sure that throughout the negotiation, and when you make him an offer, you make the offer directly to the owner, not the business broker, because an offer sent to a business broker is a waste of time. There's 2 ways to get deals from brokers. You have platform like BizBuySell, DealStream, there's multiple of them on the internet. But I know that BizBuySell and DealStream are probably the 2 biggest platforms on the internet. You'll have thousands of deals on there. Then there's a second way to get deals from brokers. It's with calling brokers directly. You call them, explain them what you are looking for in terms of the business criteria. Don't be be very specific when you talk about your business criteria. Otherwise, the broker won't take you seriously. Don't say, oh, I can buy businesses in between $1 to $10 million. Doesn't really matter how much employees there is. Doesn't really matter where the company is. I know that sometimes when you want to buy your first business, you get desperate, so you're looking for businesses everywhere. But when talking to a business broker, be very specific. The number of employees you're looking for, the reason for selling you're looking for. It has, by the way, always needs to be for retirement. You're not dealing with people who wants the money to go in other ventures. You're looking for people who wants to retire. So when talking to brokers, personally, be very specific on the criteria you're looking for with regards to the business. Now, let's put aside the on-market deals because those are not my favorites. I've done deals with on-market deals, but most of my deals, and certainly all of my great deals, were off-market deals. So what is an off-market deal and where to find them? An off-market deal is a deal that is not on the market, not publicized, and the seller isn't actively looking for a buyer. What you're looking for is a 75-year-old man who have been thinking about selling for the last 5 years, and they've been telling to his wife, next year we're gonna sell the business and go to our house in Florida. And a year after, his wife say, Steve, you told me that we're going to Florida, but we always stay there like a week, and I wanna be there more often. Steve says next year, and then next year, and then next year. So Steve have been thinking, and his wife and his family have been thinking about selling the business for a while. And you knock at his door and offer him an exit plan. That's when you get great deals. Also, that's when you're able to position yourself as the specialist, as the professional, instead of the broker. How to get those deals? That's a big question. You know, I've went through multiple videos on how to buy businesses throughout the last 5 years. And I know that very, very few of them give real knowledges on how to get great deals. They say, don't do cold calls, don't send emails, don't send letters, don't deal with brokers. So what do you do then? For me, the best way of finding deals was through cold calls. I know you don't like to hear that, but it's not that hard when you do it in my way, all right? Making cold calls, you don't go on Google, click HVAC companies, and start calling them. That's not it at all. What you're looking for is a spreadsheet with 1,000 phone number and 1,000 companies' name. And you dial and you start cold calling them. However, you have to keep track of each call. You have to know how went the discussion with the seller. Were you able to pass the gatekeeper or not? Was he too pricey? Was he not interested in selling at the moment? So you have to have, let's say, 1,000 phone numbers. You have to get some data and keep track of your data. Most of the deals that I've done, which were the best one and the cheapest one, were with following up. So let's say we do a first cold call. The guy is maybe not too much interested, or his company is a little bit too expensive, and we start following up with him every single week for 52 weeks straight. A year later, something happens in his life, and now he's interested in selling, and suddenly the price is way lower. So sometimes you have to create your own deals rather than finding deals. And one of the best way to create deals is with follow-up. Then comes the negotiation later on also. But follow-up is the best way. Now, how can you get 1,000 phone number on an Excel spreadsheet? Well, you have multiple ways. If you're poor, you don't have any money, you're starting from scratch, you can use Lucia or Rocket Reach, where you're gonna have phone number, email address, and you can ask for a Pakistani or an Indian guy to go through all of this, gather the information, and put it on an Excel spreadsheet. Now, if you can put a little bit more money, you have Apollo.io that also works. It's like $300 per month, and you'll have some good leads. You're gonna be able to export them on an Excel spreadsheet. It's gonna be phone number of the business and the name of the business, and you're gonna be able to do your cold calls. Now, if you're already in business, it's gonna be way simpler, and I highly recommend that you hire a company like ZoomInfo or Cognis. It's gonna be like $2,000 to $2,500 per month, but your quality of leads is going to be amazing. You're going to have crispy leads with direct phone number for the sellers, and you'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of potential sellers in your area. It's a little bit more costly, but if you're already in business, it's really worth the cost. The fourth step, it's pricing and terms. How do you price a business and what are the terms? It's fairly simple, honestly. You buy a business on the multiple of its profit. So let's say there's a business that is making $1 million in profit. I want to buy it $3 million. That means I bought the business for 3 times multiple. That's simple. You never buy a business more than 5 times multiple. It's very too expensive. And you can buy businesses as low as 1 time multiple, 2 time multiple, depending on the industry. Now, with regards to the terms, you all heard about seller financing. Seller financing is great. It's the best way to make sure that the seller doesn't just leave after a week of you owning the business. Seller financing makes sure that the seller has your best interest at heart. And this is very important because most people underestimate how important post-closing is. Seller financing, I would suggest you get at least from 20 to 40% seller financing. Higher is better, but in between, you can do even 15 to 40% seller finance, and you can pay over a year, or you can pay in a certain time period. So what I like to do, I was paying sellers in 5 years. You can pay them over 5 years, and you can pay them over 3 years. You can play with that a lot. But I know that the banks love to hear that the seller is also implicated in the transaction. It's going to make it way easier. Talking about the banks, we'll go through that later. But for now, I just want to tell you, how can you go from a cold call to an in-person meeting? That's extremely important. Let's say you call the company, it rings, and the first person you talk to is the gatekeeper. I used to say, is the boss around? Or can I talk to the boss? If they don't want to let you through, you insist. Don't insult her, it's not worth it. Sometimes the gatekeeper is just not on a good day, and you just go through your list and come back another day. Then, let's say you pass the gatekeeper and you talk to the owner directly. Don't be shy. Yes, the next step to do is ask if he wants to sell. You don't want to ask if he feels good, how's the weather. No. The first question that comes out of your mouth is, my name is Mathieu. We don't know each other personally, but I'm buying businesses in your region, and I was wondering if you wanted to sell. If you wanted to sell your business. Yes, no, you're gonna hear a lot of response. Then the second question is gonna be, why do you want to sell? Why do you want to sell your business? They're gonna give you an answer. Most of the time it's going to be because I'm old and I want to retire, which is great, that's what you want. What you don't want to hear, it's because I would like to take some money and do some other projects. That only means that this company is not profitable and you just will waste your time entertaining this conversation. So you only want to deal with people who are old and wants to retire, their businesses are healthy, and the company is making money. We're not doing any turnover, guys. You're not experts. It's not the time to take a company that is going bad and try to turn it around, all right? So then the guy says, I want to retire. The third question is, how much do you want to sell your company for? Sometimes they won't tell you the number. So you'll give your number. Well, sir, we're paying the company in between 2 to 4 times multiple. That means that let's say you make $1 million in profit, we're able to pay you in between $2 million to $4 million. How does that sound? It's gonna say, oh, it's a little bit lower than I thought, but it's not very far. Good, sir. Now, you can ask a few more questions. How many employees do you have? How is your administrative structure? How many people in the office do you have? And then what you're gonna ask is if he wants to meet you in person this week or next week. So it's really important on the first meeting to set up an in-person meeting with the seller. That's where you're gonna see if he's serious about selling or if he's not serious about selling. Most of the time they'll say, yes, I'm free next week. You set up the meeting, and before hanging up, it's extremely important. You say to Mr. the seller, Steve, before the meeting, I want you to send me your last 3 years financial statement. By the way, the last 3 years financial statements are documents that are extremely important for you to know and for you to be able to read, before that meeting in order to prepare yourself and make him an offer. So the last 3 years financial statement, Steve, send that over to me by email before the meeting. It's extremely important for me so that I arrive prepared to your location, and we'll go through your facilities and talk a little bit more in details. That makes sense? Yes? Good. See you next week, Steve. Then he sends you the financial statements. You go through that. You're thinking about an offer that makes sense. Let's say 3 times multiple. You're buying, let's say the company is making $500,000 in profit. You're buying it for $1.5 million. You gave the seller $1 million on closing and $500,000 over 3 years, let's say. Now, when you go meet him in person, you talk to him about that specific offer. If it makes sense, he says yes, then I won't go through all details, but it's very important to go there and meet the guy in person. And to put yourself as the expert in any situation, you always have just to ask the right questions. So when you go and meeting the owner, you ask questions, that's all. At the same time of looking for deals. Okay, so now you're looking for deals, you're meeting with sellers. At the same time, you have to start looking to get financing. The 5.1 step, because you do it at the same time of start cold calling and looking for deals, it's looking to get financing. So how does that work? I know that most of you will go through the seller, go through multiple deals, find a good one, structure it, negotiate it, have a right deal in your hand, and then you're gonna turn around and look for the banker to finance your deal. And it's gonna be like pissing in the wind. Banks don't like that. You sound greedy, you sound needy, you sound like you're begging for money. That's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it, it starts right now. When you start looking for deals, you're also start interviewing bankers. One of the best way to look for bankers is on LinkedIn. You go on LinkedIn, depending on your country, you type the big banks you have, and you're looking for a commercial relationship manager, and you're looking to talk to them and have interviews with them. You can do interviews in person, you can do interviews on Zoom, but it's very important to interview the bankers. You want to warm them up. They have to know that in the next 3 to 4 months, you'll have some deals that they may be able to finance, and they may have the chance to give you an offer. And that's the mentality you have to have when talking to bankers. They are lucky if they have an opportunity to finance your deal. You're not begging for money. You're not asking them money. They're lucky, all right? So when interviewing the bankers, it's really the mentality you have to have, and never present a deal to a banker you just met. It's like pissing in the wind. You're just gonna waste your time, lose all credibility to the bankers, and he's gonna tell you, you have to put 40% down and blah, blah, blah. You just won't finance your deal. Then comes to, you have the financing. Well, you have the industry you want to go in. You have a deal. You have multiple deals. You talk to multiple business owners. You've compared multiple deals. You talk to bankers. They're super warmed up. They're very excited about financing your next acquisition. Now, you have to get your professionals. So your professionals are accountants and lawyers. Accountants and lawyers are very important in order to close a transaction. Without them, you cannot do it. However, it's very important. I've worked with the biggest accounting firm and the biggest law firm in the whole world. It isn't worth it. If you're making transaction, if you're buying businesses higher than $10 million purchase price, it's probably worth it. My first transaction was a $5.4 million transaction, and I've worked with KPMG, and it was too expensive. You have to find an accounting firm that is a small regional accounting firm. Same thing for the lawyers, a small regional law firm. One very, very important thing when dealing with accountants and lawyers, it's like going to the McDonald's. You go to the McDonald's, you already know your order. You don't ask questions to the guy that is taking your order. What you're going there, you know, I want a Big Mac with a trio, I want a fries and this and that. It's the same thing with accountants and lawyers. You go there, I want an SPA, I want an LOI, I want this and that and that. Otherwise, it's gonna cost you way too much, and it's gonna eat all your profitability for the first year of your acquisitions. So it's not worth it. Be very careful about that. Now that you have your accountants and lawyers on board, congratulations. You have everything you need in order to close your transaction. You found your industry, you found great deals, You have your bankers that are willing to finance you, that are eager to finance you because you warmed them up a few months ago. And you have your accountants and lawyers, your professionals that you need in order to close the transaction. So now you can close your first transaction. However, it doesn't finish there because most people underestimate the importance of post-closing. You want to make sure that a month before becoming owner, you sit up with the owner and interview multiple people that can replace him. You don't want to be the guy who works in the business because you don't bought yourself a second job. What you want to do is work on the business instead of working in the business. So you want to make sure that you fire yourself as soon as possible from your recent acquisition. It's a very important piece because you want to be able to continue acquiring other businesses and not being stuck in this business for 3 years. If you like the video and you think that my tips helped you, of course they did, subscribe to my channel just to make sure you don't miss any other videos, because I'll be making other videos in the next few days and weeks where I'm gonna go into more details with regards to how to negotiate with a seller, how to interview banks more precisely, how to interview accountants and lawyers, making sure you don't get ripped off, and how can you surround yourself to the people that can help you overall buy your first business or buy other businesses. Whether you are a beginner or whether you've done some business acquisitions before, my channel is gonna help you a lot. So if you like the video, click on the like button. If you have any questions, comment. I'm gonna read all of them and answer to your questions. And we see each other in another video. Bye.